episode 16. How we doing, Mark? Good to see you.
Dude, it's been a minute. A lot of exciting topics to talk about. I missed you, man. How you been?
Yeah, I missed you too. I've been well. We're back in school. The wife and I are back in school. She's a teacher as well. And Calvin's in school, kindergarten. We just had back to school night this week, and we're getting in that cruising altitude of the fall here.
Nice, dude. That's exciting. Calvin's in kindergarten now.
Yeah, I can't believe it. It's wild. You remember like him being in the hospital like 10 minutes ago, and now he's in kindergarten.
Yeah, he's already getting up there, bro. Does he have a job yet? Like, is he paying rent?
He's picking up shifts at Smart and Final.
Smart and Final shifts.
Yeah, he's picking up some shifts.
Yeah, how's your training going?
It's not where I'd like it to be. I would like to have been farther down. It's just age, father time. The cardio, the mind is strong, the heart is strong, the lungs are strong, the vascular, but it's like, I was talking to somebody the other day. It's like I have a Ferrari engine in like, a 98 Altima. Like,
hey man, stop with that terminology, man. It's making me sad because that was like literally Kobe's description when he retired. He was like, my mind can take the grind, my body can take the hustle. Or no, he was, my heart can take the hustle, my mind can take the grind, but my body knows it's time to stop. And I'm like, no, stop it, Phil. Stop with that same terminology, man.
It's inevitable. But we have to, it's not better or worse. You just have to change. So, I get some rehab going. I've been in the gym, like 3-4 nights a week, and, been cross training a bunch. And, but yeah, it's ramping up. I want to get back. I just want to do normal cross country this season. And then I'm gonna take a break from marathons. I've been doing marathons for a couple of years. I just want to do regular fall cross country road racing, and then see what we do this winter. I maybe want to do, I want to do US cross. I want to do the US winter cross in January, February. I don't even know where it is yet. It was in Virginia last year, I think.
Yeah, last year was in Virginia, and it was cold, bro.
Yeah.
Us, we dark, man. We don't do well in the cold.
We're from SoCal, man. I mean, I remember some Christmases. It's like, it's that like that game song, Red Nation, right? 98 degrees on Christmas.
Yeah, bro.
Then he has some colorful language, but
that's a good way to put it.
And then, so yeah, dude, I don't do well in the cold, but I just want to get back to the basics of what I truly love, which is running cross country and road racing and things like that. So what about yourself?
I've been doing good, man. Just for tonight, we're not a sponsored post, but if they do want to sponsor, got a little bit of whiskey here. We're drinking that Maker's Mark tonight to get things a little going, get the personality just a little bit loose, so we can hit on some of these hot topics. Also want to point out the IOC has been flagging their trademark word a lot on any video that talks about it on YouTube lately, and taking it down. So I think when I refer to them, I'm just going to call it the games for the sake of this podcast. I don't know that they would find us because of how big we're not really, but
wait, they're taking down people just saying the word Olympics?
Yeah. So I think we'll be fine, but I think it's just a funny call out because a lot of people, they're like flagging literally anything and everything on YouTube. So our podcast should be fine, but like,
I don't know. Yeah, that's. Is it like, can NBC show their stuff because they're an official partner?
Yeah, they're an official partner, but it's like content, like solo content creators have been getting their stuff taken down.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and I guess they've been retroactively taking down videos. So people that posted things like months ago are getting taken down.
I have to keep an eye out.
Yeah, but I think we'll be fine. I don't think we're not monetized, so I think that's the bigger thing. So
no, we're not monetized. Yeah,
so
I don't know. I saw. I mean, like Noah Lyles has made his rounds on. He's on Dan Patrick. He was on Nightcap, So
yeah. So we should probably be fine. I think it's just
probably
a funny call out.
that is
But
funny.
yeah, training's been going good. I started building up again. I took 2 weeks off after I raced that 5K down in LA. It went absolutely terrible, but like take some downtime, let the body recover a little bit, let the mind recover. All I did was like swim and stuff. I think I already gave that recap, but like
Mm-hmm.
now I'm back up to about 60 miles this week. I also have a Strava beef with Dustin right now, so that's been a lot of fun keeping me entertained. If anyone wants to look at Dustin's most recent post, I gave a full disc track on there, so handed him a cool L in our little Drake versus Kendrick type of thing right now. And that's been the most exciting thing about my training. Other than that, just a lot of easy runs.
Strava beef with Dustin Solomon, right?
Dustin Solomon. Yep.
Yeah.
He and I are beefing right now. He's my biggest op. I'm his biggest hater. I hate the way that he walks. I hate the way that he talks, all of that good stuff. So that's been the most exciting thing about my training. Easy runs. Been just kind of started doubling already, but instead of doing a bunch of long, like doing 10-mile runs and then adding a double, I just did 6-mile run and then add a 4-mile double. Gonna hit a 10-mile long run this weekend and then gradually start building up until I can get up to 100. And then, yeah. And looking at what that's going to be, I think you saw Joe's email about double threshold and stuff like that. I feel that was a lot of that was directly targeted to conversations he and I had about that. And I expressed interest in trying it out, and he was super open about it. He and I had a very good conversation about training, where I want to be in the next 4 years, the next Olympic cycle, what I think success looks like, what he feels I can be better at, where I think I can be better at. And I think it was a really productive conversation. It's always good to kind of just sit down, all emotions aside, and just have kind of like coach to athlete talk, see where we connect, see where our disconnects were, and just completely reflect on the season and have a plan heading forward. And all eyes on the 2028 season. But for the time being, you got to have short-term wins.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Because like you got to have that validation. You got to have little benchmarks along the way.
Yeah, exactly. So that's essentially where I'm at right now, is just getting back into the swing of things, fixing those little ailments, getting my body to work the way that I know it's supposed to and the way I know it could. I'm aerobically fit, like you said, too. But fortunately, sitting for 9 hours a day is not conducive with running fast. So like that's been the biggest thing that I've been having to fix, is just getting my pelvis aligned right, getting my hips working the way they're supposed to, and getting my muscles firing the way they were. So once I get those done, which I'm very close, it's going to be, I think my goal for the season, like I've said, I want people to think I'm doping because of how big of my jump is. I want a Jessica Hull type of jump.
Yeah. That's a good goal. But that's a good thing you brought up. Talking to Joe, I think it's important, like, because we've people often ask us like advice about training and stuff like that, and sometimes it's more formal and sometimes it's more informal, like, well, how do I get faster and stuff. But I think it's really helpful for anyone looking to improve in the sport is to have some sort of mentor or coach, or even just like a training partner, buddy, just to run things by. I find that super helpful. I mean, obviously I've had the luxury of being like, on teams my whole career. So there's that, but even just, I think of Roger Warnes, who's out there with the
Warnes
local.
is the goat. Shout out Warnes.
Yeah.
He is one of our faithful podcast listeners. So
I
hope that he hears this.
Yeah.
And next time I see him, probably after this drops, probably a Tuesday, Roger Warnes is a real one, man.
Yeah.
That guy's he's a bad MFer, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. He's who comes to mind when I think of like mentor types who really just like legitimately just want you to improve and meet your goals. And he's not out there trying to just make a bunch of money and start all these like club teams. He just wants people to have a good time. And, I hear from him pretty often too. Like if I don't see him out there, I see, I used to see him all the time when I was coaching high school, but like when you're talking about Joe, I'm like, like obviously we're lucky to have a coach for our team, but also like, if you're trying to improve, you're trying to get a Boston qualifier, you're trying to, run a 5K without stopping, like, it's helpful to have somebody to bounce some ideas off of.
Yeah, definitely. Even piggybacking off that, someone who lately this off season and a little bit of my track season, and someone that I like just, I guess, vulnerably reached out to was Scott Bowes. Like, I forget that dude was top 10 US all time in multiple events during his like prime and during his heyday before super shoes and stuff like that. And I just asked Scott, like, flat out, like, dude, I am tired of sucking, man. Like, what were things that you did when you first made like your big jumps? And having people like that that have been there, done that, and having people that have just been in the game a long time can give you some like real sound advice. He said, well, number one, be healthy. And then number two, start hitting 20-mile long runs. Number three, hit your 100-mile weeks. Like, there's no way around it. Like, if you want to run those times, like, that's what you're going to need to do. Like, those are the different things that you're going to need to do. Like, there's no way around it if you want to hit, if you have those kind of goals, and especially for the type of runner you are. So, like, having people like that in your corner that you can just ask questions to, and even people that are unorthodox, because, like, you look at someone on our team like Silas, he and I are the most conflicting ideologies once it comes to training ever. And he looks at things so unorthodox versus me looking at things scientific. But sometimes, like, he'll hit me with some unorthodox things. So he has this thing called monkey strength, where he's like, you just need that like primal strength, like caveman strength. And he's like, and I think something you're lacking is like strength in your legs, man. He's like, I think you can be so much of a better runner if you just like got your legs strong. And to me, I'm thinking like, dude, he's so full of shit, like sometimes. And he's like, or like, he's so full of it, man. Like, what the hell does he mean, monkey strength? And then I realized, I'm like, wait, like my hamstrings are really weak, or like my VMOs are really weak, or like my right glute is smaller than my left. And I'm starting to realize all these like small little minor like muscular deficiencies that should be strong are like really weak, and they're leading to all these issues. And I'm like, damn it, this dude was right like 2 years ago. Like, why the hell didn't I just listen to him? Or if not, he'll be like, I think we just need some garbage 400s, dude. Like, not hit 400s at 10K pace. What if we just ran like 400s at like half marathon pace? And I'm like, no, dude, that's stupid. Like, that's what we do tempos for.
Yeah.
And then you look at teams like Tin Man, or like you look at teams that had success off of literally garbage 400s because they were hitting the right millimoles for their double threshold workouts or their threshold workouts. And it's like, damn it. Like, his weird logic of like, yeah, we just need some garbage workouts, like actually made valid sense down the line. And they
I've talked to him about that. I've talked, some junky, just throwaway like 6 out of 10 workouts.
Yeah.
Those are like really valuable, because especially if you like do a good cool down and like you do strides and you do drills and all that, and you get like 11 or 12 miles in, it doesn't really matter like how quality they. I mean, how many of those like rat race fartleks did we do out and like
and then we had some pretty good San Jose times off of literally just garbage fartleks.
Garbage fartleks like twice a month.
Yeah. But anyways, before we go too far down the rabbit hole here, do we want to get on the main itinerary, which is the 2024 Paris Olympic Games?
2024 Paris Olympic Games. Did it live up to the hype?
Hey, do you want to give us a long answer real quick?
Long answer? It sure did.
Yes. Single word. Yes, that's our long answer for if it lived up to the hype. So let's kick things off with the 1500, man. So the highlight of this event was Jakob Ingebrigtsen versus Josh Kerr. Phil, what the hell happened, man? What did you see?
You and I both picked Jakob to win that, and it almost felt disrespectful not picking him because he has been so successful. He's run the 326, and he's the defending Olympic champion. He hasn't won a world title in a few years. So I thought he was going to go out, and he went out harder than I thought he was going to go out. And, the rest of the pack followed in line with him, and kind of like with what they get out in like
151, like on the nose.
150. 151, and was that world record pace?
I think about 150 is world record pace.
Okay, so just under world record pace, coming through 800, and he didn't really slow down. And with Kerr took the lead, 150 to go,
Yeah, about 150 to go.
Kerr took the lead, 150 to go. It looked like Kerr was going to win.
Actually not. I think he took it with, like, 80 to go. It was,
With,
like, literally coming off the home straight. I believe he took the lead.
yeah. So kind of a little bit of a later push from Kerr. I thought Kerr was going to go a little bit earlier. And then, like, as Kerr was getting around him, Jakob kind of shaded over into the outside lane a little bit, which opened up a hole for Hawker to come through on the rail and beat everybody to the line, with Yared closing hard to get the bronze. So Hawker first, Kerr silver, and then Yared coming up for the third, with Hobbs Kessler himself getting fifth. So America top 5, 3 in the top 5. It was wild, dude. I just, like, Cole's execution. I really feel like maybe we felt like he could do it, but, like, it was like, well, the other guys have actually done it before, and it was really cool to see him, kick off such a hard pace, which we also, like, we've been talking about since, like, February. Is you just have to be able to kick off a hard pace. It's not just kicking off a slow pace like it was in the Centro days. It's kicking off a fast pace nowadays. And I don't know, man, what was your takeaway?
Man, so going back to Cole Hawker, I had to double down on saying Jakob was going to win, but as the rounds were going on, man, I was telling a few people, like I was telling you, I remember telling Warrens, I remember telling like just a bunch of my friends. I was like, dude, I think Hawker can win this thing, dude. Like, he looks like he's cruising at these paces. He looks like he's chilling in all these semis. And I'm not going to go back and say, like, yeah, I knew Hawker was going to win, but I was like, I think he has a chance if he's there with like 300 to go. And it was one of those things again where similar to like it was in the 3K final at NCAAs, similar to that 5K against Cupertino in Pac-12s, similar to against Centro in the Olympic trials, and similar to Yard in the last Olympic trials. It's just like you just see him make that move on the outside with 300 to go, and you're like, holy crap, he's going to win. Like, again.
Yeah.
But like I said, the question came down to like, okay, yeah, we saw him closing a 53 off of a 330 pace, or I guess a 333 pace. And then he closed in a 53, which got him to 330. It's like, okay, well, if it's going to go 328, can Cole run a 328 in round 3 of a final? And my answer was like, maybe not. I think he can run 329, 328, but I think Jakob's just going to be able to run 327 and run away from the field. And I still think Jakob probably could have ran a little bit faster. I think he just got disheartened as soon as he saw himself have a chance of winning and had his spirit broken a little bit. But I think the crazier takeaway with Cole's finish over Kerr. So Kerr did get deterred by Jakob going wide. And I think that did cost Kerr the gold. But what was even crazier was that you see Hawker have to stop momentum completely.
Like 110, right?
With 110. He stopped momentum completely and then regained momentum and kicked on that inside. And the argument that people were having online is like, well, if he never had his momentum stopped, would he have ran like 326 high or 327 low and won even more dominantly?
Maybe he could have. I don't know though. Like, Hawker seemed locked in on just winning that race and the medal stand. I don't really know that he was too concerned about time. I think, huh?
Definitely not.
Yeah, like it's would he, if he had better positioning, would he have gone earlier? Would he have gone with 200 to go? Maybe. We don't know. He kind of races like that, right? He gets himself to trouble in the first half, and he often finds himself in a position that isn't the most advantageous. I don't know, man. With how he was able to get pinched off on the rail and then recover and then allow it to open up again in like 40 meters later, that shows me that he was still very sharp mentally. Like, he wasn't so gassed that he couldn't make rational decisions. So I would like to say, yeah, man, if he was more on the shoulder of like Kerr, would he be able to get closer to 326? I think so.
Yeah, I think and something that I do like that he talked about post race was early on in the race. I remember we're calling this out when we are texting. It's like, bro, or did you and I FaceTime for that one? No, we FaceTime for the 10K. But early on, he found himself pretty far back. He was maybe in like 6th place, 7th place in the first lap. And what I loved in his post-race interview, he said he saw the gap open up and like maybe about 800 meters in, and he said, "Don't be soft," and said like, if you're gonna do it anytime, like you have to do this now. And he decided to make the move to cover the gap and close in on Hobbs and Goose. And his whole thing was don't be soft. Like, and it reminded me a lot of like that Kobe Bryant mentality where Kobe Bryant was talking about being injured and having a back injury, but he was playing against Vince Carter, and that was when Vince Carter was at his prime. And everyone was gonna say, "Oh, you're gonna duck Vince," and he's like, "I'm not ducking anybody." And he told himself, "You can have a bad day any day, but today's not that day. You can be hurt any day, but today's not that day." And Cole saying like, "Don't be soft," and make that move to me was like, yeah, that's why he won. Like the guy on that day was like, "I'm not having a bad day today. I can have a bad day any day, but that's not today."
Yep. He chose success there. He chose success. It was that little pinch right there kind of reminded me of Grant Fisher, who we'll talk about here in a sec. But that Grant Fisher, and was at 21 or 22 when he got pinched in the 10.
Are you talking about in the 5K when he got tripped?
When he got tripped up, and not this year, but like in
Oregon.
In Oregon, yeah, where he was in medal contention, he got tripped up a little bit with 100 meters to go, and that kind of broke his stride.
Yeah.
And again, we'll talk about Grant in just a second, but with Cole, the reason I bring that up is that he had a similar sort of like, he didn't trip, but he got pinched off, but he rose above it, right?
Yeah.
He rose above it, and he waited for a little bit of room, and he got in. I'm curious as to if Jakob knew that if Cole was right there, because he was moving he's moving outward to make Kerr run a longer route, right?
Yeah.
Which is a common move in middle distances and distance races. Do you think he knew that Cole was right there?
I think he might have mentioned that he did. That he knew Cole was behind him, but if I had to guess, Jakob was probably holding off the main threat, the imminent threat, which was Kerr whipping out wide on him. I was like, all right, let me just force this guy wide. I probably don't think that it was Kerr that addressed that and said like, yeah, I knew he was there, but I didn't know he was going to get the inside. Right. So I'm assuming Jakob had an idea that Hawker was probably there, but he probably didn't think that was the most imminent threat, which was Kerr coming on the outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, so it looked like Kerr was running for home already.
Yeah. It looked like, I mean, Kerr, when I was watching it live, I thought for like 50 to go or so, 60 to go, I thought Kerr had it locked up. I thought he was going to be Olympic champ.
Yeah, I do think, like, honestly, I do think that move was the make or break for Kerr to win over Hawker. I do think Jakob forcing him to go out into lane 2 with 150 to go and then forcing him out wide. I do think that's the make or break between Hawker getting gold because Hawker got the inside versus Kerr having to go wide. And it's those small little tactics that we talked about, like forcing someone to work a little bit harder, forcing someone to make mistakes during a race. And I think that was Kerr's ultimate, I guess not even a mistake. I think that was just the deterrent that cost him the gold.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, I mean, it was kind of like, you have the pros and cons of every decision, right? Like Jakob stays on the rail and keeps, makes Cole have to like stop and get it all the way around. But then Kerr has a clean shot at the finish line, right? And but the option he chose was to shade out a little bit and push Kerr out to lane 2, lane 3, but he also exposed his inner side. And maybe he just kind of like bet on himself, hoping that Hawker wouldn't be able to kick off of 327 pace. Because like everyone else, nobody knew that if he could do it. Yeah. And I honestly, like, I think a lot of the Jakob haters were happy, but I also feel like he did his best he could. right? Like that was the race he needed to run to win a gold medal, and it's just the rest of the world is so good now.
I still think he could have won in a bit more tactical manner. Like personally, I think
Do you think he went out too hard?
I think he got greedy, which even he admitted he got greedy around 700 meters to go. Like, bro, you came through 151 and you made a move off that. Like, there was your last 100. Rewatch that race. He opens up with 650 to go. He drops a move off of a 151. Like, bro, you're not running 325 today. Sorry. Like, that's just not happening. You need pacers. I think he should have just waited it out, forced them to duke it out behind him for positioning, and then make your move with 300 to go. Like no one was going around you until 150, 200. And then we saw in Roma, he closed in a 12.5 off of a 331 pace. Like, so he has wheels.
Right.
Like he can sprint with them. It's taboo for them to keep saying, it's like, it's a little bit of a stretch for them to keep saying Jakob doesn't have the wheels they have. Jakob is just he's in the space that the strongest runner will always win. He had a really douchey interview about that, but he said, it's worked for me 18 out of 20 times. Why would I not keep doing it?
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, you can kick with them. Like, but you might just need a 600-meter kick or like a 500-meter kick.
Right.
Not a full 328 because all you did was pace them perfectly because his splits were 54.9, 55.9, 56, 54. So then behind him were probably like 55.1, 55.1, or like 55.1, 56, 56, and then kick. Like that's perfect rabbiting.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a perfect rabbit.
Yeah, I think for him, he needed them to. Nick Willis had a good take on it too. He said, you need to make them fight behind you. You need to make them worry about being boxed in. You need to make them worried about getting their position. You need to make them worried about running lane 2. And I'm like, yeah, I totally agree. Jakob could do that and then just start squeezing it down. And he can sprint with them. In Roma, he led wire to wire and closed in a 12.5. Like, why can he do the same thing here? Like, I think he got too arrogant. I think he thought I can run away from this field. But it's like, bro, if you're a 327 guy or 326 high guy and they're all 327 mid guys, like you're not going to run away from them. Not in a non-paced race.
Do you think to a certain extent too, for his competitors, like Kerr isn't super big into the diamond leagues. Cole doesn't typically run great at diamond leagues, right? Like, so do you think to his competitors, like, just the level of competitive edge was just at max level? You know what I mean? Like they just like were bringing it that day, and Jakob had to take on everybody on their best day. This wasn't a diamond league. This wasn't pre-classic. This wasn't like a Grand Prix. This was the Olympics. I think that's what he had to stare down, and his usual tactics work, 90% of the time, right? Yeah. But like this is, I think that that goes to show you like how important the Olympics is to these athletes.
Yeah, and I do think that also showcases how important coaching is. Like after losing 2 consecutive years doing the same tactic, like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Yeah. Like I think if that happened 2 years in a row, like if you're a coach, you're going to be like, yo, maybe it's time to try something different. Or like maybe we got to change things up a little bit because every time that you've been doing that, you've been getting your behind handed to you, man.
Yeah. So there's that as well. I mean, I think you could that's a good point as well. Is like, hey, why are we still this 3 years in a row we're doing the same thing? Has he been training on his own away from his dad for the past 3 years?
For the past like 2.
2, okay.
Yeah, so it hasn't been that long. But the last time he was coached by his dad, he won. So that's all you got to know.
Yeah. And one thing that I just briefly wanted to talk about was their music video they dropped like the day before the Olympics. It like I freaking love that song, dude. I'm not gonna even attempt to pronounce the name of the song in Norwegian, but translated, it's "No One Does It Better." And it's this kind of Euro techno sort of song, and him and his brothers are in this. You saw it, right?
Yeah, I saw it that one time. I haven't listened to it after that.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I've listened to it. It's in my mix. I've been bumping it. I just I just think it's hilarious that they like for out of nowhere 2 days before the Olympics starts, they just drop this track on the internet. It was like it's got like some SoundCloud vibe to it, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, coming off that though, Hawker and Jakob did go not to let's try to wrap up the 1500 real quick, but like Hawker and Jakob did go at it at Lausanne, and Jakob chokeslammed the hell out of Hawker in the last 200.
Yeah.
He got him by 2 seconds. And does that like what does that tell you about the narrative about this all?
I don't know, man. I think that's the narrative. It's a paced race. It was had laser lights. Like, that's, I mean, we're not the first people to say that. Like, people
Yeah.
have been saying that for a long time, that Jakob is a great time trialer and he works well in paced diamond leagues. Like, that's his happy place, right? Like I mentioned that I like cross country. Jakob likes paced races in the diamond league. And he did well. I don't know. And then I always go back to the coach, Joe Rubio, when, after every time I would run well, he would be like, hey man, like, don't be surprised if you feel like crap for like the next 4 weeks, with the emotional come down after a big race. And Cole won a gold medal, and like that took a lot of effort and a lot of emotional energy, and having to get interviewed on ABC and all that. Like, he still came back with a 3:29, right?
Yeah.
Like
At like 1500 feet.
at some mild altitude. Like I don't know. It's tough for me to be critical of anyone here because of like, yeah,
So
Jakob,
fresh.
it's so fresh, and I don't know. I think it's a good effort. It was a good effort. Like, I think people, it's people lose perspective here, right?
Yeah.
Jakob is good. He's ran 3:26 this season, and he's won a lot of really good meets this year.
Yeah, and he'll probably run it again at some point this year.
Yeah. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Cole. I'm not like, I don't know. In my head, it was kind of like, how they have all those high school meets now after the state meet.
Yeah, like they
Like
have like Foot Locker and like or Brooks.
Yeah,
And
Brooks, like in track, they have Brooks PR. They have like Nike Outdoors,
New
like
Balance things.
Hoka Postal, like it's like you won the state meet, but then you go to one of these races and you get beat by like the kid who got third at the state meet, and and maybe you run fast, maybe you don't, but it's like it's still a good performance, but it's almost like it's kind of like like dessert or something. It's like it wasn't the goal. Like, he wasn't training, like Cole wasn't training for Lausanne, like he's trying to extend that fitness and win some bonus money and get some more appearance and all that. Like his price has gone up around now, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's the 1500 meter Olympic champion.
Yeah. But in terms of Diamond League finals, I know we were talking about that before we started the show. Is it Zurich or Brussels? We're not sure.
I think it's Brussels the Diamond League final, but I think the big four going head to head. Now it's big four. Now it's not big three anymore.
Yeah, it's big four.
But big four, I think, are all going head to head at Zurich, and it's supposed to be like a world record attempt, apparently, allegedly.
That sounds like a Jakob invitational. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do we want to get to that when it happens? Not spend too much time on that today, or what are you thinking?
I mean, let's give quick predictions.
I think Jakob wins in like 3:26 too.
Jakob 3:26. I agree with Jakob. Yep. And then what? Kerr.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, Kerr, Yard, Cole. I think Cole just looked flat as hell. I wouldn't be trying to race anymore, man. I'd probably be I'd probably be back home, like partying with my friends after doing this. I'd be like, bro, I'm done. Like, I don't want to keep this going. Like, I reached the pinnacle of the sport. I don't need to prove anything else.
Yeah, I'll do Jakob, Kerr, but I'll put Cole third just to be different. just to be different.
I just do think Yard is a little bit more nonchalant about things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think he'll game up when it matters, right? He'll game up when it's the trials or the Olympics, but like, you know, I mean, also like thinking back to Cole did not race that well at Prefontaine this year.
He also did get tripped by he did get tripped pretty early on. Like I think after 400 by what's his name, Hobbs. Remember Hobbs dropped out?
Oh yeah, he just the Hobbs dropped out in like kind of a weird fashion too.
Yeah, well, because him and Cole like made contact, and then Hobbs fell into the infield.
Yeah,
and then Cole like tripped up. So
yeah,
Cole's not a time trialer. He doesn't do well at that stuff.
Yeah. Grant Fisher.
Double bronze
in the 5 and the 10K. We picked him to get third. We did. We picked him to get third in the 10.
We got that.
We got that one. We've had faith in Grant. And you know, I think the 5 was a surprise for a lot of people. And it was such an impressive, like just his level of commitment. Because that was at the race when was that the one with the Ethiopians?
Oh, that was 10K.
Oh, that was 10K. But yeah, the 10K had the Ethiopians going back and forth.
Yeah.
And then but the 5 it kind of lollygagged, right?
Yeah, the 5 was slow.
The 5 was slow.
In layman's terms, I mean, I would kill to run a 13:13, but
yeah.
But yeah, it was a tactical race. They jogged for like the whole first 2K.
Yeah.
Or the whole first 4K.
Yeah. And also like, you know, so much focus on the 1500 and no one really talked about Jakob winning the gold medal in the 5K.
Yeah, dude. I think because Jakob had that revenge story, but I think what was crazy about that race, he closed in a 119 last 600 and a 150 last 800.
Yeah, and he kind of waited, right? Like he wasn't really clear until like the last 100, right?
The last 200, he pulled away. 200. Yeah, and that was because Hagos did drop a 56 penultimate lap. Like a lot of people were saying. So just to give a little more insight on that 5K. So Grant Fisher's coach actually went on a podcast with Let's Run this week. And that was very insightful about his race. And there was that whole question about like, why did Grant wait so long? Like he fell back to 9th at the bell lap. Like he looked like he was getting swallowed. And then all of a sudden he finishes 3rd. Did he go too late? And the big thing, first of all, the penultimate lap was 56. 56-second penultimate lap, which never happens. Normally it's like a 60 at fastest. And Grant's coach told him, let it go because they're going to go early. And they're like, how'd you know that was going to happen? He goes, I didn't. I just kind of figured that's probably how it's going to play out. Like it's going to be like a Mo Farah type race where everyone's just waiting on to see what Jakob does. And then Geberwet stepped on the gas with about 600 to go and ran like a 26 on that 200. Mm-hmm. And Grant just kind of waited it out until it strung out. And I guess the big focus has been that last 8 to 10 seconds is what Grant's coach said they focus on.
Mm.
So Grant was being conservative, same thing that Jakob said that he was doing. He's like, well, you have to run within yourself. Like I saw him make the move. I was boxed in pretty bad. He's like, but you have to run within yourself until it's actually time to kick. Like you have to run your own race. And everyone else was sprinting to catch up. So that's how Grant ended up in about 9th. And then with about 200 to go, or maybe about 250 to go, Hagos completely gassed himself. That's where Jakob went around him and was like, yeah, I won this. And he just choke slammed everybody and won by 2 seconds. But then Grant, you see him coming on late with about 50 meters to go. He goes from like 6th to 3rd. And probably could have gone silver if the race was like 20 meters longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect timing. And I want to say, I feel like we talked about this in one of our episodes, but like, I feel like I've seen Grant in interviews in the build up to this Olympics mention that world championship final that we talked about earlier in Eugene, getting tripped up there. And that's kind of been a hyper focus for him in terms of positioning and stuff like that. Just saying things like, oh, you don't get timeouts, you don't get do-overs for that kind of stuff. And like, you know, he seems like a guy who tries to make things as objective as possible and control what he can control, right? And obviously, if you're getting tripped and clipped from behind, you can't really control that. But like, I think it's so cool how like you said, he's been in the lab working on that since Eugene, specifically for that last 10 seconds, and he goes out there and does it twice.
Yeah. I think that's the craziest thing ever, just because like you look at what you and I always talk about, the goal of every race is to execute, right?
Yeah.
And he went in there and he was a man on a mission to get medals. And when you watch him race, even if you don't like know him or know his story or know his background, and like he's finished fourth, he's finished fifth, he's finished sixth, like multiple times, like you would think this guy's racing for a medal. He doesn't want anything else, just because you see him like the way he responds to moves. He was the guy bridging the gaps. He was the guy covering moves. He was the guy trying to stay in that top 5, stay in those top 3 positions.
Yeah.
And then he was the guy kicking with the most conviction. I remember you and I were watching the 10K. I was like, bro, look at his arms. Like that dude was driving with everything he had. He was maxed out. Like he was not getting a medal in the 10K.
Yeah. He was on a mission, dude. And he was like in the 10K specifically, and even in the 5K, but he got out in third, and he just like stayed in third in the 10, like he was always up there. He was sometimes in second, sometimes he was fourth, fifth, but he was like, put myself in the position where I need to be early on. Right. He's not going to the back. He's not screwing around in the mid pack. Like he's very intentional with what he does.
Shout out
Woody. Now what the comparison that is inevitably going to be drawn is between him and Galen, right?
Yeah.
Specifically 2012 Galen, when Galen got the bronze medal or silver medal, right?
Yeah.
He got the silver in London. What's an interesting comparison is how much like that era was just obsessed with speed work, right? The raw speed development, sprinter development, like the form, all the weights, everything. And like, Galen and Mo's kicks were nasty at that time. I mean, didn't Galen beat Legat at the trials that year? I think like
he did. He closed in a 52 point.
Yeah. So his kick was unmatched, and like he didn't get a medal in the 5K that year.
No, he did not. Yeah.
And maybe he got tripped up or whatever. You can't really, it's not necessarily always apples to apples, but like it for the reason I bring it up is because how insanely devoted they were to kicking and to slow races, and that was the style of racing we did back then. And Grant is a lot of people would consider him more of your traditional 5K, 10K guy, your time trialer, your sound running, like pace light kind of guy. And he goes out there and gets third, kicking in the last 100 meters in the 5K. So I just think my takeaway is that there's so many ways to get to the same place, right? You can, because Grant has talked about more moderate style of training, more often, more frequent moderate style of training. Whereas Galen talked about, a lot of that high intensity speed work, but both parties do both things, right? Like,
yeah,
like Galen obviously was doing threshold work and was doing VO2 and was doing insane sort of like stuff. And I guarantee you Grant was working on raw speed development and doing, whatever, flying 50s or whatever you need to do that. It's just kind of like what they're interested in, right? Like it's what they're interested in sharing. But I think that, hats off to Grant for putting together such a great Olympics.
Yeah. Honestly, I got the chills when he got bronze. I felt like I won the bronze, honestly, because it's like, damn, dude, like you've been fighting at this for so long, and you've been talking about this for so long that like when it finally happens, that like I really wanted to tear up, be like, damn, bro, you finally did it. Like, and for us that have been following, like, shoot, I shared a picture on my Instagram because he and I raced that Stanford Invite when he was a redshirt freshman at the time. He had a running jersey, and I was like Cal Poly Pomona, and we have a picture where we're next to each other in the same pack.
Yeah,
I'm like, damn, bro, I've been following your career since you were like 17 years old, 16.
Yeah,
and to see, because like a guy like Grant, they're expected to do this. He was a 2-time Foot Locker champ. Like you look at all the other 2-time champs, you have Edward Cheserek, you have Dathan Ritzenhein, You have Lucas Versbickus. Like those are
Mhm.
names everybody that has run like knows. And from those
Mhm.
guys, you expect them to do stuff like this. So to see Grant like back then battling with like John Dressel, back then battling with Drew Hunter, like in high school, and then going to Stanford and
Mhm.
the second place god, like finishing second and everything. And it's like, all right, is he going to live up to the expectations as a pro? And I think he's exceeded expectations. It's almost kind of like that LeBron James thing where it's like all of us had these high expectations, and it's like, well, he exceeded them. He has every American record. He has the 3K, the 5K, and the 10K. And now he's the first American ever to double bronze. It's like,
Yes, and that's such a good point. I'm so glad you brought that up because this is something that I've been thinking about as well. Is that Grant Fisher was, his era's like golden child coming out of high school, right? Or he ran like 13:45 in high school, right?
I don't think he doesn't have 5K on the track recorded,
Oh, he didn't
but he
have
was
one in high school.
no, but he was the one to bridge the gap for the sub fours. So it was like Lucas Versbickus, nobody for a while, and then like Grant Fisher.
Right. So he was very good in high school, right? He's a Foot Locker champ
Two
twice,
times.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Stanford, like that whole trajectory. And what I really appreciate about it is that he's continued to improve, and that's not easy. It's not easy to, have always been good. And there's probably a sense of like, maybe there's some pressure for you, either internally, externally, that you feel, to continue to improve, and like he's done it. He's taken advantage of the opportunities that he's been given, and he's continued to improve. And it's not easy. It's not easy to have all that accolade and then still, okay, all right, I was NCAA this or that, I was state meet this or that. Okay, now let's go after a medal. Let's go after 2 medal. That's just
Yeah. I mean, shit, you look at it, man. I haven't improved in 2 years. Look at like when did you run your 5K PB in like
uh
13?
2011.
2011? Yeah, like you look at that, that's how hard improving is. Like both of us
Right.
bust our ass, but like to continue to improve and like hit those kind of marks and hit those expectations that you have of yourself, like it's a difficult thing.
It's not easy, dude. It's really not easy. And it's like, it's right. That's why it's like, it's really hard for me to be critical of anybody who made the Olympics. Right. Cause
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
just to like, even just after all of our coverage of the trials and just making it through the rounds. And it's like, that just seemed exhausting. And then
yeah,
you had to go to the Olympics in Paris and do it again.
yeah. Well,
Um,
that's why I felt for like the Australians. It's kind of like we were talking about in our group chat today. Like the
oh yeah.
Australians had to go to their nationals in March.
Yeah.
Then you
Which
look
is
at
like
them,
their
they all,
fall. That's like their fall, isn't it? Like,
yeah, weather-wise.
yeah, because they had to peak in March, and yeah, that was wild. And then you were talking about some interesting interesting conversation you heard from Kajelcha about the Ethiopian Federation.
Yeah, apparently the Ethiopians were forced to do that tactic, that if they didn't keep taking the lead and push the pace, they would face penalties when they got back home.
Yeah. So if you didn't catch the 10K in the for the men's, the Ethiopians were up front, basically fartlicking, taking pulls, and trying to make it fast.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what would the punishment be? Banned from from a national team?
Or maybe, yeah, you just don't get selected in the
Yeah.
future. Maybe they go elsewhere, you get fined, or I don't know, man. Maybe they can tax you. Maybe
Yeah.
a lot of these guys, I don't know, maybe they have dirt on them. I don't know what that possibly could be, but it's like, yeah, that's what they were subjected to. Even Holly Gebrselassie was giving their federation a bunch of grief about it.
Yeah.
And
That's
but
wild.
Cadell should openly say that. I thought that was pretty brave. But end of the day, I think they walked away with the silver. But I thought it was crazy because in Aragawi's in his post race speech, they asked him how he felt about getting silver, and he goes, "Well, after Bekele wins all those golds, like gold is almost the expectation." And then
Wow.
they won in 2011 as well. I think Tariku Bekele bronzed in 2012, and then 2016 did they medal anybody? No, it was
Good
like
question.
I think it might have been. Did they medal anyone in 2016? No, Paul Tanui got second. And then who got third in 2016? I don't remember.
Yeah, because did Mo win that?
Oh yeah, that's when Mole won his double.
Yeah, yeah. That's really cool to hear that's the expectation. It's like, yeah, I got a silver, but because of Bekele, the expectation here is gold.
Yeah, no, they actually, fun fact. So who got bronze in 2016? Tamirat Tola from
Oh,
Ethiopia. He won
oh,
the marathon this year
oh, yeah, he did
as an alternate. He
as
wasn't
an
even
alternate.
selected for the team. He was
He
an
was
alternate.
he was an alternate, which kind of makes you think about the selection committee, right?
Yeah, but to
Uh,
be fair, Tamirat Tola DNF'd at he DNF'd at the last Worlds. He
oh,
DNF'd at Boston this year. His only major success, which is a major success, is he won New York, which was a
oh,
hilly course, and he ran like 205.59 or
yeah.
206.59, something like that. So
So, and that Boston and Worlds were all within the last year.
yeah, like
Okay.
Worlds was this year, he DNF, or 2023 he DNF'd, and then
Boston
New
in
York
April.
that fall he
Oh,
won, and then Boston in April DNF.
yeah.
So it was fair that they didn't select him, but also Tamirat Tola, he's that dude. He's won Houston in sub 60. He's
Oh, yeah.
won New York 2 times.
He's good. Yeah.
Evidently bronze at the Olympics in 2020. I mean in 2016. So Tamirat Tola is that dude.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah.
And he's been good. And one thing that you very eloquently predicted was Cheptegei becoming part of the GOAT conversation officially with his gold medal in the 10K.
Dude. And what I love most about that I think you would love the most too, is when they asked him in that press conference after winning that 10K, what is your most important medal in your career? Phil, do you want to fill in the listeners what he said?
2019 gold in cross country.
Freaking cross country.
Yep.
Was he said his most important medal.
And I think cross country is going to play a big role because OG Bekele was doing that. OG Kipchoge was doing cross country.
Yeah, Kipchoge was getting railed in cross country by Bekele.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that and that's after he's won all these gold medals. Is how much he values cross country. Him and Quincy Hall.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously, Quincy Hall. I have that dog in me, bro. I got endurance. I've been running cross country.
I've been running cross country. Oh,
I used to run cross country, bro. I got that dog in me. But yeah, Cheptegei now has, here's his 10K resume: 2017 silver, 2019 gold, 2022 gold, 2021 silver, 2023 gold, 2024 gold. And then in the 5K, he has a 2021 gold.
Yeah.
And then 2019 cross country gold.
Yeah.
So, dude, I think he's up there with the greats, and he's trying to step away early. He said there's nothing left for him to win in track. So you look at guys like Bekele that ran for 14 years on the track, or for 12 years on the track. You look at Mo Farah, who as well ran 10 years on the track. Cheptegei has run. I think he said he made his professional debut when he was 17, which was about 10 years ago. So he did 10 years professionally on the track, but only in his peak. In all honesty, he probably has one more Olympic cycle in him, and he'd probably win another world title, another Olympics at the way he's running right now. But he said he wants to go to the roads and probably take advantage of the fact that he's only 27, 28 to go try to, chase a legacy in the marathon as well.
Yeah, that's not a bad call to start that. I mean, you start that after the next Olympic, cycle. You're kind of starting a little late there. But yeah, I think that is going to be a fun conversation about goats and who's on the list. Is it your top three? Is it a Mount Rushmore? Are we blasting faces into the side of a mountain? But yeah, you're firmly in there.
Yeah, we should make that one of our pods pretty soon. Is just our goats of US 1500 goats, US 5K goats, world 5K goats, world 15 goats, world long distance goats, all that stuff.
Yeah. Those goats. And yeah, those lists can be fun. You could also have like deep cuts, like, I don't know. You could do all sorts of stuff. But yeah, chapter guys officially in the GOAT conversation. What are your thoughts on the men's 800?
Dude, that blew my mind.
Yeah.
Only because we talked about, so first of all, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Marco Arop is the elephant in the room for me because he got his doors blown off, and we spent our whole last pod talking about how he's not even a contender anymore because he got his butt kicked at Diamond League Monaco. And then he goes out and gets a silver in a 141 negative split.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's even crazier, not to jump away from the Olympics too much, but in this last race in Lausanne, he ran a 141 having to go wide because the pacer didn't step off.
Yeah.
Like Marco Arop went from a 142 high guy to a 141 consistently within like a 2-week window. When Yoni has put together one of the greatest 800 seasons ever quietly because, and I say quietly because he was getting whooped by Sajadi all year.
Mm-hmm.
But when Yoni has broken 142 4 times this year, 4 times, and then he ran 141.11. But for him to come away being the champion at 141.19, I think that's number 3 all time. I think is pretty insane.
I think with this current crop of 800 meter runners, we're in world record territory.
Yeah, and to put it into perspective, I think Bryce Hoppel getting 4th in a 141 high. I believe he's number 6 all time, and he got 4th. He ran the 6th fastest 800 ever, and finished 4th in this race, man.
Oh my god, yeah. So that means the other like 3 fastest people, were in that race.
Yeah, exactly. Or he might have been number 7 all time, something like that. I think 2 all might have the edge on him, but in terms of time. But like the only other guys are Kip Keeter and David Rudisha.
Yeah,
aren't in this era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it's probably it might happen here in Zurich or something.
Yeah, I mean when Yoni ran 141.11 yesterday.
That's what 11.
141.11. He
141.
He is 0.2 off of the world record, David Rudisha's world record, and now he has pacers. So like and he did that at like 1,500 feet. So like if they're at sea level,
yeah. So I mean I think the pacer is a very big deal for the 800. It's because you don't have that many. It's not a long race. So like you got getting out well and like them stepping off the track appropriately. It always like pacers for the 800 always stress me out.
yeah.
Because I'm like, why don't you just like pull off cleanly? Why do you have to like make everyone nervous?
Yeah. I do think a lot of times the pacers are like, they're paid to go a certain distance, but I do think they always end up not being able to go that distance. And so they're like sprinting to the 500 mark or to the 400 mark versus actually trying to get it right.
Oh, they're like redlining. It's not a smooth 400 for them.
No, it's kind of like what you're talking about in the marathon where it's like you're running 2:16, but you're also running with the guys that are running 68, and it's not a smooth 68.
Yeah.
That 800 was wild, man. It was heartbreaking to see Bryce Hoppel be just on the outside looking in.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
And do we want to talk about the controversy with Sajadi? He got tested 7 times in 3 weeks and had his condo raided.
Oh man.
At the Olympics.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I mean, he's been tested 7 times in 3 weeks.
7 times in 3 weeks.
I mean, and he's no all clean so far.
All clean, but you know what they say, if you do dope for Wired actually had a good they had a good video on getting away with drug testing. So the guy who had the whole thing going on in the Bay Area, I forget what it was called, but
Balco.
Yeah. Wired had a whole video with a guy from Balco.
Yep.
And he was talking about how if you take drugs in fall of 2023, or in fall of like 2022, it'll be in your system for base training for the 2024 Olympics. So you can just stay under the wire or stay under the radar. But again, we don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
No,
I assume everybody is clean until proven proven guilty. But
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that he had his condo raided. He got tested 7 times. Like, we can't be the only ones that think that dude's sketchy.
Yeah, that's telling. I don't know, man. The only thing that is like, I don't know how many times like Grant Fisher was tested. I don't know how many times
Yeah.
A-Rop was tested. I don't know how many times Bryce Hoppel was tested. Like, is
7's gotta be excessive in 3 weeks.
is it okay? Like, are these guys? What is A-Rop or Hoppel? Would it in that same 3 weeks? Is it maybe twice drug tested, 3 times after each round, something like that? Maybe.
Probably just after the final, to be honest.
Yeah, you think once?
People are tested like 6 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. Those are the things I don't know. I've never been on. I've never had to like register my like whereabouts. I never have to like Moketeer style, right? Like,
yeah, like
I've never had to like tell a country or where I'm gonna be. So.
Yeah, I mean, to be candid, or not candid, to be a comparison about it is like Michael Phelps was doing weekly drug tests voluntarily, and that's still less than Sajadi in a month.
Ooh, okay, yeah. Yeah, Michael Phelps was weekly voluntary, and Sajadi was almost every other day involuntary.
Yeah, exactly. So there had to be some bias there. They had to have suspected something or had some insider information, thinking like, we got to pop this dude now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but to go on, Faith Kipyegon repeating. Do we even need to talk about that, or just go?
Slay Queen.
Fucking slay queen, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's never been done, right?
No, that's never been done. Usually the 1500, they call it a young man's event because normally like you win that when you're young.
I mean,
but like to win 3 consecutive times, and she even silvered in the 5K.
Yeah, she got a silver in the 5K, right?
Yeah, she got silver. She was the favorite to win, but what's her name? Jabet.
Yeah, I mean, she's gonna go. She's in the GOAT category, right? She's gonna be, gonna go down as one of the greatest women's distance runners of all time, right? She's gonna be in that
unanimous 1500 GOAT. She three-peated the gold. She's won all the worlds. She has the world record in the mile and the 1500. Shit, dude, like I'm getting scared about my 1500 PB because she's a second behind me.
Yeah. Yeah, she's so consistent, and it's like it's not an easy event. It's you can get tripped up, you can get boxed out, you can get bounced. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like it's just like what else needs to be said there. It was a competitive year, and she was able to make it happen 3 years in a row, three Olympics in a row, not 3 years in a row, 3 Olympics in a row.
Yeah, hey, shout out Cal Berkeley graduate Georgia Bell.
Oh yeah,
she went from 413 to 352, bro, in 1 year. 406 to 352, bro. That is to bronze medalist.
That's
she went
just
from a 213 girl to a 156 girl in 1 season.
Yeah, probably double threshold and some, good core work, drills.
Yeah, I heard she was like a duathlon because she has no results from like 2019 to like last year. And apparently she was like a duathlon world champion.
Like, what is that? Is that like
bike and run?
Bike and run. Okay.
Yeah, apparently she was like a world champion. And then she came back to it, ran like 406 last year. And then this year got bronze. And then Jessica Hull too, 357 down to a 350 this year, bro. These girls making some crazy, absurd jumps. I'd love to see what they're doing, but that is nuts for them to get bronze and silver. But insane jumps. Those are some crazy times, man.
Crazy times. And we were in our previous episode, we were talking about Keely. If she was ready for prime time, she was gonna be the queen of second place, but she pulled it off.
Yeah, I had her getting beat, but she looked like she could win that any way she wanted.
Yeah. She really looked good. She looked strong. She looked poised.
Yeah.
And I remember in that race, dude, it's like I might have to silence our group text during these meet days because it was like I was getting messages like mid race, and I was like, somebody had said something about being DQ'd, and it wasn't Keely, but it was during the race, and it was like, oh my goodness, is my feed just like 10 seconds slower or something like it?
Yeah,
But anyways, she that was an impressive race. It was great. She finally that validation, that vindication of, what we're doing is working, and yeah, it was a good race.
Yeah. Now the question always comes back to: is there an asterisk because the thing Mo wasn't there? What do you think?
I don't. It's tough, man. I mean, a fully healthy a thing Mo that was ready to race.
But see, that's part of the game, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, seeing how these women had to race and how physical it was at times, and I honestly, I don't know, man. I don't know if Mo's fitness this year was on par with the rest of the world. She ran a race in in Florida a few weeks before the Olympics, and she got like fourth or fifth and ran 159 or something, and didn't look super competitive in the race. And I don't know if she's just trying to fulfill try and do some late season races here or something, fulfill contract obligations. But I don't know. I'm going to say no asterisks for with what we had this year, right? We can project. Yeah. Okay. If Mo was in 154 shape, absolutely it would have been asterisks, but we don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no because it's like the argument of Tobogo when people are like, "Do we give Tobogo an asterisk because Noah Lyles had COVID?" No, I don't think Lyles was beating Tobogo in the 200, regardless of how healthy he was or not.
No.
Like, especially because Lyles ended up posting like, "Oh, I tested negative before I went out. Like, I actually didn't have COVID that night." So it's like, wait, did you have COVID for the race or not, man? Because you were partying your ass off that night. But same thing. It's like, I think for Keely, I think she wasn't losing regardless how that race went.
No.
If there's anything going there, and again, making it through the rounds is part of the game.
Yep, it is. It's part of the game, and making your team is part of the game.
Yeah, like she can't control what other people do. It's kind of like that famous Jakob quote after he won in Pre 2 years ago, and they asked him like, "Are you upset nobody went with you?" And he said, "I can't be upset that people aren't better." And I think that's the same thing with Keely. It's like, well, I can't be upset she didn't make the team. Like, I'm not going to put an asterisk and beat myself up like, this gold would mean so much more to me if a thing Mo was there. Like, bro, no one's going to care.
No.
Like, she didn't make the team.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree with you on that. I'm because to me it's like it's part of the process. Like we talked at length about this in the previous episodes. It's like you gotta, like, track fans get it. Anybody, like, if you've done high school, college, you've at some point or time, I guarantee you there was a point where you barely missed making it to nationals, or your team was off the podium by 1 point and your fifth guy got out leaned or something like that, right? Like,
yeah.
or you didn't, you didn't do this, or you didn't, like, that happens so often in track and field that you become used to that, right? You're like, oh yeah, Mo didn't make the team. It's like that she fell. It happens. Like,
yeah.
It's unfortunate, and like, you don't ever want that to happen, as a competitor or the runner, a teammate. Like, you don't ever want that to happen, but it does happen. It's part of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just part of the game, part of the sport.
So I'm gonna vote no asterisk for Keely there.
Yeah.
And then another epic performance by Sifan Hassan, bronze in the 5 and the 10, and gold in the marathon.
I don't even know what to say to that, man. She got like 8th at Pre in the 5K and got beat by like 20 seconds.
She did all of her training during the Olympics.
Yeah. Like, she just got sharp for the marathon. She was just prepping for the marathon.
I couldn't believe it, dude. I couldn't believe that she was just I think we talked about it, and I kind of had her doing well in the 5 and the 10. And DNFing in the marathon, and then just scratching the 15. I kind of figured she was going to scratch the 15, but for her to hold on and win gold in the marathon's nuts.
Dude, and did you see what happened during that like sprint finish? How the
Yeah.
girl ran her into the barrier
Yep.
and she like shoulder chucked her?
Yeah. Yep. There's some shoulder checking into the barrier last
That
100
was
meters.
crazy. And then Helen O'Beary to lose, I thought was even crazier. She got bronze, but like I thought Helen O'Beary was a lock to win.
Yeah.
And for Sifan Hassan to come back, bro, and get shoulder checked into the barrier and still kick off of that and win after racing the 5K and the 10K, I thought that was just nuts. That's a testament of like, I love this. I love doing this thing.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know, that's a long Olympics. That's what, a 10-day whole thing? Because when was the women's 5K was first, right?
Yes.
Yeah, women's 5K prelims were like day 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the final like a couple days later. And then you
Mm-hmm.
had the women's 10K final. And then you go straight into the marathon like 3 days later or like 2 days later.
There was not much time between the marathon and the 10K. The women's marathon 10K was not set up to double.
Yeah, no, not at all.
The men's was at opposite ends of the of the Olympic cycle.
But not that anyone did that, but
yeah.
That we're aware of, but
yeah, very impressive there. Sifan Hassan, just a gamer. Always, she is who we thought she was.
Yeah, what'd you think of the men's marathon?
I actually stayed up. I stayed up and watched that whole thing.
R.I.P. Elliot Kipchoge.
Oh man, that was tough to watch, man. It was tough to watch. You know, he's still the GOAT. He's still, he's still the man. He is who he is. One race.
Was this his Michael Jordan's Wizards era?
It might be. You know, we might be entering that era. You know, we'll see what he does in the next. Is he going to do Boston? Is he going to do Berlin or something? I don't know.
I mean, he got rocked at
Tokyo, right?
At both Boston and Tokyo this year.
Oh yeah,
he got rocked at both of them. So, and then got rocked at the Olympics. So it's like, shoot, man.
Yeah.
It's like, is it finally getting there? Are we finally seeing like his deterioration?
Hate to see it. But
he's also like 38. Bekele finished 39th. Yeah, 39th with like a 2:12.
Which is still like, that's like pretty good. I mean, that course was hard, and 39th place was 2:12 still.
Well, that was the crazy thing because Connor Mance, he was disappointed with his 8th place finish. He said he thought he was in medal shape, and his coach Ed Eyestone goes, Connor Mance, any other year in Olympic history, 208 is bronze. 208 is a bronze in every other Olympics in history, and that got him 8th.
Yeah, they looked really good. Both him and Clayton Young looked really good early on. They were in the front pack in the medal contention, and I feel like Connor took a couple pulls in the front.
Yeah.
Those guys brought it, man. They were well prepared. They were heat acclimated. They had a plan. Like they went 8-9.
8-9,
yeah. That's on a hot day and it's super competitive, in the most competitive marathon ever. Like, yeah. Hats off to our boys there.
Yeah, shout out Mo Farah's training partner, his former training partner, Bashir Abdi, got his silver medal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was a cool one for me to see just because he's been Mo's partner since 2016, 2017. They were training together and he got his medal. And then Tamir Atola, we mentioned earlier, selected as an alternate, gets gold. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, that race was good to watch. Like I said, I stayed up and watched it, and I when the Americans were, they looked strong, man. They did not look like they were fading at all.
No, not at all. But shout out on the women's side, Dakota Lindworm.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, she did well.
Yeah, I got the Minneapolis ties, so I'm all in support of Minnesota Distance Elite. Dakota Lindworm. Yeah. That's solid. 12th place, girl from Minneapolis.
Yeah. Yeah, she did really well. Like I feel like our women have done pretty well consistently at the Olympics the past few years.
Yeah, even at Worlds too. Like normally we have our girls finish in the top 10, our women finish in the top 10. So I thought that was pretty exciting, especially all things considered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great performance for her.
Yeah. But all right, do you have anything else you want to cover here, or are you feeling pretty good about this?
That's a good episode. We went through it. I like, as much as I like doing our in-depth analysis of every event, I like kind of being a little bit less scripted and a little bit more reactive, I guess.
Yeah. All right, before we close out though, who is your biggest winner of the Olympics?
Ooh, that's a great question. My
Who
biggest
won the Olympics? Like, who walked away with their legacy impacted the most?
Oh, that's such a great question. I'm gonna go Grant Fisher.
Grant Fisher, the double bronze.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Grant Fisher. Yeah, I gotta go Grant Fisher, the double bronze, because it was a surprise. Cole was good. Cheptegei, it's kind of between those three. That's who I was thinking about. Obviously Jakob in the 5-1. I gotta go. It's just that, like, for him, just his focus and his locked inness, and he treating it like two separate meets, and what this, it's never been done by an American, right? First ever, or never been done by anyone ever, or first American.
First American.
First American. Yeah, no, it's been done by.
I was like, well, Mo won.
Mo won it. Mo won the double. Yeah, don't quote me on that. But yeah, first American ever. I'm a little biased towards America. I like Grant. He's a likable runner. That's no shade at Cole. I mean, it's we've been big fans of Cole too. All this whole podcast. Like,
yeah.
What about you?
Are we keeping this a distance, or are we like all track?
Well, I was answering it in the vein of distance, but
Okay.
you can pick whoever.
Okay, if we're gonna go distance, I'm gonna say Cole, because he won the deepest 1500 ever.
Mm-hmm.
That is the first 1500 meter race ever to showcase 4 people under 328, and he won it in a championship style race, not a paced race. So, also being the second American in 100 years to win it. Only him and Centro since 1908 have won gold.
Wow.
So I think, given that context and the history and the depth of the field, I think that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Non-distance, I got to go Noah Lyles, man.
Mm-hmm.
And winning that 100, imagine you have the entire sports community against you. All the Team USA basketball showed up to watch him lose.
Yeah.
And every NBA podcast was saying, yeah, we were hoping Noah was going to lose, bro.
No, they were saying that. And Stephen A., he had some strong words about Noah. And then when Noah went on Nightcap with Ocho and Uncle Shannon Sharp, they had some. Hey, Noah, I mean, it's really hard for me to watch a Diamond League meet, man. But Monday Night Football is really easy to watch. And he went out there and did it.
Yeah. All right. Who do you think was your biggest loser of the Olympics? Who had their reputation hurt the most?
Oh, man. Do you want to go first?
I can go first. I think the biggest loser, in my opinion, was Gudaf Sagai. She tripled 15, 5K, 10K. She is number 3 all-time in the 1500. Or no, number 2 all-time in the 1500. She is the 5K world record holder, and she is number 2 all-time in the 10K. She got 0 medals.
0 medal. That's a good one.
0 medals. She, like I mentioned, she's a world record holder in the 5K. For all my listeners out there, 14 flat in the 5K. In the 10K, she's number 2 all-time, 29:05. That is my PB. Me and her have the same PB in the 10K.
Yeah.
And then her 1500 is 350, number 3 I think number 2 all-time, only behind Faith Kipyegon. And she got 0 medals. And I don't think she was even close to the medal stand in any of them.
No, I think you're right. I don't think she was close to. I don't think she was close at all. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, because it's really hard to be critical of these athletes, right? Because they've made the Olympics, and
Yeah.
It's something that we always aspire to be. I'm gonna go Woody Kincaid.
Woody Kincaid.
Yeah, I just like, dude, we got to get out. We got to get out better, dude. We got to get out better. Like we, like you said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Like,
dude, I think Woody should be a medalist, man. But you just can't be doing that 16th place thing. Woody, if you ever happen to come across this pod, bro, just sit on Grant. Like, you can kick better than Grant. Just sit on Grant and zone out. Like, you can't be in 16th place.
It's coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. But yeah, like, especially when you know how talented he is, and he bets on himself all the time and is right. Right. Yeah. It's like, he says things like, oh, like I'm the only one who's ever done it, or like I'm the only one who's beat Grant, or something like that. Like he's said things like that were like, yes, I knew I could do it because I'm the only one who's been doing it. Like, so I just feel, with his talent level, and I know he's good. I know he trains hard. We just need to refine that strategy a little bit.
Yeah, I know he was injured too, heading into USA's, but like, still, dude, you're a sub 27 guy. Like, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but I think you should do, because again, I'm hating from outside the club. Like, I'm nowhere near as fast as you are, but like, or as he is, but like, damn it, dude. Like, if you are sitting in 16th place, you're covering every surge that happens. Like, if you're up in the front, you don't have to cover every surge. You don't have to close every gap because you're already up there. Yep. But like, if you're up there, you don't have to play the accordion that everyone else is playing. It's something that you see Joe Klecker do all the time. It's something that you see a lot of Americans get caught up in all the time, because you just sit in 16th place. And it's like, no, dude, you got a game up front. If you're that talent level, you're a sub 27 guy, man. Like, you should be a medalist.
And like, yeah, sure, there's guys that are really fast that are mid 26s, what are 2640s.
Yeah.
But like, everything kind of gets compressed a little bit at the Olympics. Like,
yeah.
Like Carissa Schweizer, for example, she got like 8th or 9th in the 10. Even though those women have much faster PRs, right? Yeah. Like the Olympics, like when it comes down to it and you're there, like you can't have stage fright. You have to be able to be like, Woody has to be like, I'm going to go out in the top 5. I'm going to stay in the top 5. I don't care what their seed time is,
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think solid Olympics, man.
Oh, my camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Oh,
yeah. I think we can cut it there though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My camera is fading here. Yep. Well, thanks for listening to the Lane 1 Talk Show, episode 16 in the books here. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. See you tomorrow, man.
Yep. We'll see you next time.